Hey guys, it's Hunter and welcome back to another video. So this is one I've been really excited to do. A couple weeks back, I put up a video of this $30 Strat copy. Now for 30 bucks, you can't really expect that much. The tuners are bad, it doesn't stay in tune, the bridge isn't very good, there isn't a lot of sustain, the pickups are pretty garbage, they're thin sounding and very low output, so if I'm using a noise gate to combat hum, the notes just die. Miraculously, the fret edges aren't very sharp, but the frets themselves are completely unpolished and very scratchy. So in its current state, it's not very usable to anybody, but here's the thing. There's a lot that I like about this guitar too. The neck is excellent. It's maple with a satin finish and a C profile that's slightly thinner than the one on my Bullet Strat, so it feels like it'd be very fast if I could sort those frets out. Then there's the pink Polonia body. It is very, very light. You could probably play this thing standing up forever. I love a good heavy guitar, but in live situations, it's much more comfortable to play something that's lighter. So since it's so light, plus the color is awesome, I think this would make an absolute monster of a gigging guitar with a ton of stage presence once I sort out the hardware, the electronics, and the frets. And that is exactly what I'm gonna do. Okay, so first and foremost, these strings need to go. One, I need access to everything that's underneath, and two, they're just bad strings. They feel so cheap. Something that a lot of people overlook when they buy these budget guitars is that the strings that they come with are usually complete trash. A good set of strings makes a ton of difference for feel and tone, and that's part of why the 500 series Harley Bentons feels so much better than other guitars in that $200, $250 price range. They usually come strung with D'Addarios instead of whatever generic crap this is. Okay, so now with the strings out of the way, we can go ahead and start getting rid of the other useless stuff, starting with the tuning machines and the bridge. Alright, so with all the useless hardware out of the way, the only thing left to deal with is the electronics. I thought about replacing the entire pickguard, but I need to keep the High-Integrity sticker, so that stays. Apart from that, the switch also feels okay, plus I completely forgot to buy a new one. It's pretty cheap, but I guess I'm using it until it just gives out. Yeah, everything else goes. Alright, so the husk is ready. Let me show you what's going in here. Graphtec Tusk Nut Dunlop strap locks, clear tone 9-gauge strings, Hipshot O-ring knobs, Hipshot open gear locking tuners, Hipshot vintage style stainless steel tremolo bridge, Fishman Fluence single width pickup set, and Fishman were also kind enough to send the rechargeable battery pack for Strats. So thanks to Cleartone, Hipshot, and Fishman for sending stuff for the project. Generally you wouldn't put all these premium parts into a $30 guitar, but I was kind of aiming for like a Pimp My Ride level of ridiculousness. But before we put all the new stuff in, we have to deal with this fingerboard. It is as dry as a desert and the frets are really rough. So I bought a fingerboard guard set and some steel wool from Amazon to polish these off. So I'm not entirely sure what this fingerboard wood is. It was described to me as engineered wood, so I'm guessing it's some sort of treated maple? I asked the Thomann guys and they said, well, you shouldn't use lemon oil on bright, normal colored maple. On dark treated maple like Rosacer, lemon oil is perfectly fine, so I'm going with my gut and using lemon oil to hydrate this fingerboard. It's also kind of the only thing that I have, so hopefully it doesn't mess everything up. Okay, fingerboard sorted. Now let's put on the new nut. The old one was really cheap and the strings got stuck a lot, so the new one should be a big improvement. And JK, the nut is too wide for the slot, and since I don't feel confident in my ability to widen it without completely messing it all up, I just used lead from a standard mechanical pencil to lubricate the nut with graphite. It's definitely not the best solution. I still want a Graphtec nut on this guitar eventually, but this should help with the string slipping, and it'll work for now. Right, to be honest, that's kind of the boring stuff. Well, it can be kind of fun to say, check out my new self-lubricating nut. It's not nearly as cool as new pickups and new hardware. Time for the fun stuff. So I was really impressed with how premium the hipshot hardware on the Chapman ML2 Pro Modern felt, and I told myself that for my next mod project, I had to use Hipshot. I emailed them and they were great. Shout out to Jason for helping me pick out the right stuff. Grip lock open gear tuners for me was a must. I love how classy these look. Then for the bridge, we went with a 6-screw stainless steel vintage tremolo. The Hipshot sustain block is about 5 times as heavy as the old one. Generally, the sustain blocks on these cheaper guitars are really light, so the new hardware should improve both tuning stability and sustain. Now for pickups, I'm a huge Fluence fanboy. They're just a joy to track with. So for this project, we're using Fishman Fluence Singlewoods. In the box, there are new pots, a stereo jack, and instructions on how to wire everything up. Okay, so I probably should have checked before I put the strings on, but I was getting no output from the pickups whatsoever. I did a little bit of investigating, and that's not right. That orange wire is supposed to be attached to this pickup, and it's not. Fishman is sending me a new bridge pickup, so I guess until then I'm working on other things? Alright, so eventually the Fishman team got fed up of me screwing up the wiring and told me to just send them the pickguard. And Ken Susi wired it up himself, so now look at this thing. It is beautiful. He also threw in a couple bonus features, which is really cool of him. The crappy switch is gone. There's now something more Fender-esque, and it feels a heck of a lot better. And now there's also 2 push-pull pots. Usually the Strat sets only come with 1. So this one selects the voicings, and this one toggles the high-frequency tilt option on or off. Usually you have to wire these, so it's either permanently on or permanently off, but with the second push-pull, I can just toggle it on the fly. Kind of seems like something that should be included standard with the Strat set, but yeah, I have it here. So I'm gonna wire this in, and I also took a look at the original nut and found that it's just completely unusable. The slots have been filed down way too much. So I'm gonna gently sand one side of the tusk nut down until it fits into the nut hole? That sounds so weird. All right, all the modifications are done. Let's see how it sounds in a mix. So it sounds so much better. It's more evident in the room than in a mix. The new Fishman pickups still have that twangy, single coil tonal quality about them, but they're loud, they're full, they don't hiss even with a ton of gain. And that's only half the story. Before, the neck was awesome, but the overall guitar, I mean, come on, it was 30 bucks. It needed a ton of work. Now the frets are polished, the fingerboard is hydrated, the new bridge, nut, and machine heads keep the thing in tune and sustaining for days. I mean, it's ridiculous. 600 bucks of upgrades into such a cheap pink thing. The nut alone increased the value of the overall project by about 33%. It's just a fun guitar, and it's still really light as well, which makes it perfect for gigging. But was it worth it? Is this a better route than just going out and buying a $600 guitar in the first place? Well, it depends what you're after. The biggest problem with upgrading mod platform guitars is that you can't improve the quality of the craftsmanship. This started life as a $30 guitar. Even though it has $600 worth of my favorite high-end components and electronics, it still doesn't feel as nice as, you know, my $600 Epiphone or my $600 Michael Kelly. And also sometimes cheap no-name guitars like this one can have slightly different dimensions from what standard aftermarket parts are designed for. So for this particular one, I assumed it would have the same dimensions as a Squier, and I was wrong. And you know what they say about assuming? The nut slot is quite strange. It's really narrow and also quite deep, so I had to improvise a solution involving thin cardboard packaging and school glue to raise the nut slightly. It may or may not be durable, only time will tell. The bigger problem is that the bridge routing was made specifically for the cheap bridge the factory was using. It was a bit off-center, the screw holes didn't line up with the new one, and also the routing was just too small for the larger trem block. I ended up just locking it down because I couldn't get any motion with it anyways. So lesson learned, in the future if I want a mod project that's fully compatible with all the drop-in parts, I'm using a reputable brand instead of something like this. On the other hand, there isn't any production model on the market like this. There is no bright pink Strat for under $1,000 with a hipshot bridge and open gear locking tuners and a set of Fishman Fluent single width pickups. I'm not sure one exists at any price point at all, which is a massive shame. If I had my own guitar company, this is definitely one I'd be looking into making. I mean, this thing looks and sounds phenomenal. It's not one of the nicest guitars I own, but it is one of the coolest. And the final result is only part of it. Putting these together is like playing with rock and roll Lego. To a certain type of person, mod projects are just fun to do. There's something so rewarding about putting together your own uniquely configured guitar, basically your signature model. Kinda sucks the stickers on the plastic protecting the pickguard and it's starting to peel. Maybe I'll print out my own high-integrity stickers and make them available. I mean, it is one of the things that I really like about this guitar, to be honest. And I want to say thanks again to all the great brands that made this ridiculous video possible. Thanks to Fishman for the pickups and battery pack, Hipshot for the hardware and tuners, and Cleartone for the strings. Links to everything I used is in the description if you're looking to put together your own high-integrity project. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. What do you think of the finished high-integrity project? This is my first kind of mod video, so I'm still trying to figure out the format, but let me know if you want to see more of these ridiculous projects or maybe something a little more tame. Yeah, just leave your thoughts below. I will be doing a full video demo in my usual style of the Fishman Fluent single width pickup set, so make sure you're subscribed and you've got notifications turned on so you don't miss that. As always, thanks so much for watching. You've been full of integrity, and I'll see you for the next video.